Rasa Chintamani retreat, so he's preparing. Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari 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 Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Jajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Pavarikacharya Satara Sada Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Premsika Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinda Ki Jai. Jai Radha Krishna Gopakopana Shai Mukunda Radha Kunda Giri Gaurana Ki Jai. Brindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mayapur Dham Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gaur Premanandi. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 75, and we're doing verse 16, and I will do 17 also. Gupta nirbir niragamam upalabdum etad. Devyo yata divi vimana varayar nir devyo. Tamatuleya sakti bi parishishyamana. Savrida hasya, excuse me. Savrida hasya vikasad vadana vireju. Gupta nirbir niragamam upalabdum etad. Devyo yata divi vimana varayar nir devyo. Tamatuleya sakti bi parishishyamana. Savrida hasavika sad vadana vireju. Gupta nibir niragamam upalabdum etad. Devyo yata divi vimana varayar nir devyo. Tamatuleya shakti bi parishishyamana. Savrida hassa vikasad vadana vireju. Yuvda nibir niragamam upa. Yata divi vimana varayarnya devyo. Tad matulena sakti bi parishishyamana. Savrita hasa vikasadvadana vireju. Gupta nibir niragamam upalabdhumetad. Young Navrita hasa vikasadvadana vireju. Before we do word for word, happy birthday, Divir. Oh, it isn't? Oh, I had said it. Okay, anyway, wherever it's coming up, happy birthday. Soon. Okay. Gupta, guarded, near be, by soldiers. Niragamam, they went out. Upalabdhum, to see firsthand. Etat, this. Devya, the wives of the demigods. Yata, as. Divi, in the sky. Vimana, on their airplanes. Varai, excellent. Nirdeva, the queens of King Yudhisthira. Ta, they. Matuleya, by their maternal cousins. Lord Krishna and his brothers such as Gada and Sarana. Saktibi, and by their friends such as Bhima and Arjuna. Parishishyamanaha, being sprinkled. Savrida, shy. Hasa, with smiles. Vikasat, blossoming. Vadana, whose faces? Virajuhu, no, Virijuhu, they appeared splendid. Translation and purport by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Surrounded by guards, King Yudhisthira's queens came out on their chariots to see the fun, just as the demigods' wives appeared in the sky in celestial airplanes. As maternal cousins and intimate friends sprinkled the queens with liquids, the ladies' faces bloomed with shy smiles, enhancing the queen's splendid beauty. Please repeat. Surrounded by guards, King Yudhisthira's queens came out on their chariots to see the fun. Okay. Came out on their chariots to see the fun. Just as the demigods' wives appeared in the sky in celestial airplanes as maternal cousins and intimate friends sprinkled the queens with liquids, the ladies' faces bloomed with shy smiles, enhancing the queen's splendid beauty. Purport. The maternal cousins referred to here are Lord Krishna and such brothers as his Gada and Sarana, and the friends mentioned are persons as Bhima and Arjuna. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pastai Buddhale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminithanamani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gordavani Vicharni Nirasesa Shunyavadi Praschacha Deshatarni Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So we'll read just from Jiva Goswami's Tika. The other two are similar, and his is complete. It actually includes elements of both Vishwanath and Sanatana Goswami's. This verse describes the play suitable for the wives of Yudhisthira, such as Draupadi and his sons' wives, after going to the bank of the Ganga. Draupadi and also the queens such as Rukmini Draupadi and also the queens such as Rukmini saw the fun. Since Draupadi and others were principal to the sacrifice, the word Matuleya, maternal uncle's son, refers to the husband's cousins, just as nephew would refer to nephews on the husband's side. It would be improper to joke with maternal cousins on the wife's side. Of Yudhisthira's cousins, the most famous was Krishna. Thus, Matuleya here refers to Krishna, just as Govardhan is accepted as the most famous among mountains. Hantayam Adrir Abala Haridasa Varya. This is a quote from verse 10:21:18. Of all the devotees, this Govardhan hill is the best. Krishna was the best husband. Others were also husbands, such as Bhima and other friends who were nearby. They were understood to be brothers. The next verse states that the wives of Yudhisthira squirted water on the brothers of Yudhisthira, Devaran, and their friends. Thus, in the eyes of the public, it was proper for them to joke with each other. They would not be subject to criticism since their relationship was close. The important point being made here before we read the next verse is that the relationship is close. So even though the next verse appears to be, to especially mundane moralists, a little, why would you do this in public? The public would see this as proper because it's amongst the family and amongst close relatives. Duryodhana, however, and other envious persons with material vision, they became disturbed, lustful, and angry. And this is, of course, the materialist who sees anything that Krishna does that seems to be fun, enjoyable, or something he would like to do in place of Krishna becomes envious. So I'll just read the next verse, just the English. As the queen squirted water from syringes at their brothers-in-law and other male companions, their own garments became drenched, revealing their arms, breasts, thighs, and waists. In their excitement, the flowers fell from their loosened braids. By these charming pastimes, they agitated those with contaminated consciousness. And Prabhupada's purport is, Srila Prabhupada writes, the purport is from Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada writes, such behavior between pure males and females is enjoyable, but persons who are materially contaminated become lustful. I don't need to read the tikas here because they're just repeating the verse itself, but here we have the conundrum of Krishna's pastimes for those who are materially contaminated, or as Prabhupada sometimes would say, the common man, or persons who are not fully understanding the nature of Krishna in his transcendental position. I'm going to refer here to two verses from the teachings of Queen Kunti, which have been referred to a million times before, but they're very important because here Queen Kunti tells us how we should understand Krishna's pastimes from our position. This is verses 29 and 30, 1, 8, 29, and 30, just the English. O Lord, no one can understand your transcendental pastimes, which appear to be human and are so misleading. You have no specific object of favor, nor do you have any object of envy. People only imagine that you are partial. So no one can understand your transcendental pastimes, which appear of human, but are so misleading. And then the next verse, of course, it is bewildering, O soul of the universe, that you work, though you are inactive, and that you take birth, though you are the vital force and the unborn. You yourself descend amongst animals, men, sages, and aquatics. Verily, this is bewildering. So, if we look at mundane moralists or persons coming from certain religious traditions, which are, you believe in God, monotheistic, they want to serve God, but they have this idea that he's the vital force and unborn. So how is it possible that you can have pastimes like this? God is great. He's unknown. He's so powerful. We owe everything to him. We bow down before him. It's like Aishvarya, but blind Aishvarya. And of course, Aishvarya means the mood of awe and reverence. Therefore, for persons like this, even though they may be, quote, pious, because the British came and they were Christians and they couldn't handle this. And they weren't necessarily very pious, but they had this background. And here's Prabhupada's first couple sentences of Prabhupada's purport. The transcendental pastimes of the Lord are not only bewildering, but also apparently contradictory. In other words, they are all inconceivable to the limited thinking power of the human being. So we have to go into these pastimes understanding that whatever we see is really a transcendental expression of love between Krishna's pure devotees and himself. And it's really intimate connection. And of course, in the material world, there's a certain spot held by this kind of male-female sexual attraction that is it's the highest in the material world, but of course we know that's the lowest because it's that most envious position to Krishna. But also other positions, are very, very intimate. The cowherd boys had an incredibly intimate relationship with God. They're wrestling with God. They're playing games with God. They're actually putting flowers in his mouth and laughing at him because he's not getting his samosa. This is very intimate. Who does this? He's the almighty, powerful creator of the universe, and you're doing that? But that's kind of within our bounds because it's not like, this sort of off the, out of the beyond what we want to talk about category. And same thing with Mother Yashoda. You're chasing God. You're feeding God your breast milk. This is also incredibly intimate. So these are bewildering for materialists. So I was thinking, what am I going to say about this? So I prayed. I really prayed to Prabhupada very hard. And I asked a question, and this is, asking Prabhupada via the computer world. I asked the question, Prabhupada, what is the difference between spiritual sexual life and material sexual life? And guess what? A lecture came up, and Prabhupada speaks about it. And I learned so much from this lecture. It's not the lecture we saw. It's a very early lecture from New York in 1966, November 15th, it's almost 60 years old. And what I also learned is a lot, and I hope we can all appreciate this, about impersonalism. Because impersonalism is sort of like the safe thing to do if you can't handle Krishna's pastimes. You just say, oh, it's all zero. And these pastimes, they must just be symbolic, or maybe they're material, or they're written as poetry. I mean, certainly, but it's all ultimately, we have these kind of things in this world which tend to be problematic. Friendships become friends become enemies, lovers become enemies, parents and children become estranged. I mean, in the material world, things don't always work out very well. So I'm going to read this part of this class and paraphrase some of it. It's a little long, but I think it's very instructive for us. So Prabhupada this is not the beginning of the class, but it's part of the class. So this excerpt begins. So difficulty is as living entities, we want enjoyment. So this is it, okay? This is the question. We want enjoyment because I'm not only simply existence. I'm just not, a particle of being. I have got this bliss, Satchidananda. I am composed of three spiritual existence. I am eternal, I'm full of knowledge, and I'm full of bliss. So those who enter into that impersonal effulgence of the Supreme Lord, they can remain eternally with full knowledge that I am now mixed up, I am now homogeneous with Brahman, Bas. But they cannot have that eternal bliss that part is wanting. They don't have that. So the difficulty is that when he feels, just like you, if you are confined in a room alone, you may go on. You may engage yourself in reading some particular book or in some particular thought, but still you cannot remain alone in all those years and all that time. That is not possible. You'll find some association. You'll find some association, some recreation. That is our nature. So similarly, if we merge into the impersonal effulgence of the Supreme Lord, then there's a chance of falling down again in this material world. Okay. So we have this it is innate in the spiritual soul that we are Satchidananda. And therefore, as a spirit soul, we're seeking out pleasure. As a contaminated, conditioned soul, we seek out pleasure in the material world. And as a contaminated, conditioned soul who can't understand that there is, bliss in the spiritual world, we head for zero. Go to that room. Imagine you're standing on a very noisy street corner in New York City with buses and people, and it's really congested and it's noisy, and you can't stand it, and someone says, come to this room, it's quiet. You go to the room. It's very nice. But then if the door's locked and you can't get out, after 20 minutes, whoa, oh my God, I can't get out. What am I going to do? There's nothing here for me to do. So in this sense, there's nothing there for them to do. And then Prabhupada quotes the verse, and I'm just going to paraphrase it, that I'll read just the English. There it is. Okay. Someone may say that aside from devotees who always seek shelter of the Lord's lotus feet, there are those who are not devotees who have accepted different processes for attaining salvation. What happens to them? In answer to this question, Lord Brahma and the other demigods said, O lotus-eyed Lord, although non-devotees who accept severe austerities and penances to achieve the highest position may think themselves liberated, their intelligence is impure. They fall down from their position of imagined superiority because they have no regard for your lotus feet. So, Prabhupada then goes on to describe, I'm just going to paraphrase here. He talks about the Sputnik man, because this was during the early days of the space race. And he says they go higher and higher and higher, so many miles up, he says, but they fall down again to the earth because there's no place to rest in space. And so after so much endeavor, he has to come back. Why? And then he talks about the impersonals again. Because he's neglected to serve in love and devotion to the Supreme Lord. So long we are here, we have to practice love to Krishna, the Supreme Lord. Then we can enter. This is the training. Then he says, and if we are not trained up in that way, disturbance. He will try to have association. And because he has no association of the Supreme Lord, he has to come back to the material world and associate with material energy again. So we want pleasure, but we're forced to seek the service or the association of material nature because we don't understand the spiritual nature. And that's because people assume out of their Dr. Frog mentality that spiritual nature should be something like material nature. Well, it may look a little bit like it, but material nature is a perverted reflection of the spiritual nature, and therefore, although there's similarities in appearance, the actual reality is quite the difference. What is highest in the spiritual world, that is the union of the dancing and the pleasure of Krishna and the gopis, is the lowest in the material world. And it's not just the lowest because it's, sinful. It's the lowest because even if it's done, religiously and it has some place, it's this attachment between male and female, this idea of sensuality between the two, is the most binding force in the material world. We'll take birth again and again, just simply to seek that person who fulfills our needs, the person who completes us, and then the perfect family. There's even one religious sect that says, men can have many wives so they can have a huge family so that everybody, when they die, goes to some place in the spiritual world where they're all together for eternity. And if you have like 25 wives, you can have 97 children, and you have a big, fun time in the spiritual world. That's because there's so much attachment for this material understanding. So Prabhupada says, that he says the material, the Mayavadi or the impersonal says, so if you are kept alone, you cannot have pleasure. Then you feel uncomfortable, and for want of pleasure, you'll have to accept any kind of pleasure. Right? All right? Material pleasure. That's all. That is the risk. And now, Prabhupada says, therefore, this Krishna consciousness, you'll have full pleasure. The same pleasure. Not the same pleasure. Just, not material pleasure. Just like here, the highest pleasure of this world is sex life. That is also perverted, disease. So even in the spiritual world, there is sex pleasure in Krishna. But that's not the same as the material world. We should not think that this is something like this material world. No. Janmadyasa yataha. Beginning of the Bhagavatam. This Bhagavatam is a pure representation of Krishna's pastimes ultimately. Unless that sex life is there in the spiritual world, it cannot be reflected here. It is simply perverted reflection. The actual life is there in Krishna. Krishna is full of pleasure. So the best thing is to train ourselves in this Krishna consciousness, and then it will be possible in this life at the time of death to transfer ourselves into the spiritual world and enter into Krishna Loka or the Krishna planet and enjoy with the association of Krishna. So Prabhupada is making the point here that we need to enter into the association of Krishna in order to enjoy real pleasure. And that's only pleasure comes in connection with Krishna. And it comes in 5 different flavors. And one of the flavors is Madhurya Rasa, and that's the troublesome issue. So, if you really think about the other ones, they're also troublesome to a materialist or to someone who can't get a grip on the fact that God will actually cavort with pure souls, not as God, but as a little kid, or as a lover, or as a baby, or as your boss, like you're a servant. That's inconceivable. And it's really, if we look at it ourselves, honestly, it may not be quite as inconceivable as it is to the others who are really not in Krishna consciousness, but it's also, we really have to admit that we can't get our heads around all this. It's really, really an amazing thing. It's beyond our ability to think in a rational box, in the box material of consciousness. So I was thinking, well, here we have this conundrum. How do we get from where we are to there, to the place where we can actually appreciate and enter into, these relationships? And so, again, Prabhupada to the rescue here. He speaks about how it is that we living entities, human beings in this age, can develop a relationship with Krishna. And Prabhupada, in these quotes, says it is through our relationship to Gaurnitai, Sri Sri Gaurnitai, to Lord Gauranga and Lord Nityananda. And basically it's like service to them. And you see the pastimes of Lord Krishna, of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, they're within our grip. I mean, there's miracles, but we know if we just serve them in a way which is available, we can understand how to do that. And it's not beyond our understanding. It's not outside of some sort of, amazing, morality issues or whatever. So we serve them in love, and Radha and Krishna are available by serving, that prem is available by service to Sri Sri Gaurnitai. And here Prabhupada speaking. There are millions of living entities who have become conditioned by the laws of material nature, and they are wandering throughout the planetary systems of this universe in different bodily forms. Among them, one who is fortunate meets a bona fide spiritual master by the grace of Krishna and comes to understand the meaning of devotional service. The Guru Dev, Prabhupada, or our Guru, is representing Sri Sri Gaurnitai. By discharging devotional service under the direction of the bona fide spiritual master or acharya, he develops love of Godhead. One whose love of Godhead, Krishna Prema, is awakened, and who thus becomes a devotee of the inconceivable Supreme Personality of Godhead, is to be considered extremely fortunate. Mayavadi sannyasis admitted this fact. The Mayavadi sannyasis admitted this fact to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is not easy for one to become a Krishna-conscious person, but by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it can be possible, as will be proven in the course of this narration. And this is a purport from Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi 7, verse number 100. And then Prabhupada in another site, this is from the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. However, Lord Chaitanya's greatest gift was his teaching that Krishna can be treated as one's lover. In this relationship, the Lord becomes so much attached to his devotee that he expresses its inability to reciprocate. Krishna is so obliged to the gopis, the cowherd girls of Vrindavan, that he felt unable to return their love. I cannot repay your love, he told them. I have no more assets to give. Devotional service on this highest, most excellent platform of lover and beloved, which had never been given by any previous incarnation or acharya, was given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is so special. And somehow or other, we wandered into this. I did anyway. I was looking for, freedom from suffering in this material world. I was looking to understand God. I had this idea and from my early childhood, I have to know who God is somehow, but God was like some, amorphous thing. But here we are given the opportunity to serve Krishna in this high, and it's totally beyond our ability to get, except through Lord Chaitanya's mercy. Lord Chaitanya is Krishna in a yellow complexion. He is Satchitananda, the son of Mother Sachi. He is the most charitable personality because he came to deliver Krishna Prem, unalloyed love for Krishna, to everyone. May you always keep him in your hearts. It will then be easy to understand him. And a verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita comes to mind here. Well, it did come to mind. And it's from Adi Leela, chapter 1, text number 4. May the Supreme Lord, who is known as the son of who's son of Srimati Sachi Devi, be transcendently situated in the innermost chambers of your heart, resplendent with the radiance of molten gold. He has appeared in the age of Kali by his causeless mercy to bestow what no incarnation has ever offered before, not just love of God, the most sublime and radiant mellow of devotional service, the mellow of conjugal love. And we can't get that. We can't get it because we can't figure, if we use our own mentality, and, we're, at least myself, I'm a little Duryodhana-like, It's like, okay, it's like, I don't get this. How's this happening? It seems to be a little weird. Why are we privy to this? It's hard to understand, but through Lord Chaitanya's mercy, we can actually understand that. And actually, because we're wandering in this material world, and another verse came to mind too, and one that we've heard before. Brahmanda Brahmate Konya, Bhagavan Jiva, Guru Krishna Prasade Bhakti Paya Bhakti Lata Bij. So, the verse itself says this: according to their karma, all living entities are wandering throughout the entire universe. Some of them are being elevated to the upper planetary systems, and some are going down to the lower planetary systems. Think about it. It's kind of like, you've ever seen the waves coming into the beach, and something comes in, some kind of a piece of driftwood. It comes down to the beach, and then the next wave pulls it out, and it comes back and forth. And we're just going back and forth between the heavenly planets and the hellish planets. But out of many millions of wandering living entities, one who is very fortunate gets an opportunity to associate with a bona fide spiritual master by the grace of Krishna. By the mercy of both Krishna and the spiritual master, such a person receives the seed of the creeper of devotional service. And we're not receiving Aishvarya, devotional, we're receiving Madhurya from Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Purusham Ramaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Jamin Govindam
Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Enam Kanvandam Maravindanalaya Taksham Varhavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandar Agom Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobha
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Jami
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Asa Sakalem Priya Priti Manti Lasyan Dipan Dikayanti Chiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Jami
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham
Adipurusham
Tamaham Bhajami
Namahum Vishnu Pataya Krishna Pastaya Tulay Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Namaniti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gurvani Vachar Name Nivasesha Shunya Vade Satya Josataranai Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Sivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Chaitanya Jaya Shri Krishna Nana Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gurdada Siva Sari Noraturina Jaya Shri Krishna Nana Prabhu Nityananda Shindwaita Gurdada Siva Sadi Noraturina Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Goloka Nana Goloka Nana Radhe. Jaya Goloka Nana Goloka Nana Radhe. Jaya Radhe, 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 Radhe. Jaya Radhe, 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 Radhe. Shri Ragat Hey Jai Om Vishnu
Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kairavya Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipanam Purnamrita Swadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahudan Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrapita Niyamita Smaranena Kala Etadrishita Vakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Nurdaiva Midrishami Ajanina Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Suhishuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadaram Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Vajagadishakamaye Mama Janmani Janmani Ishvare Bhavatad Bhaktir Hoitaki Twai Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavam Buddha Gribhayata Vabada Pankaja Stita Duli Sadrashim Vachintaya Nayanam Galarashum. Happy birthday. Haribo. Amukada Tavanama Grahane Bhavishyati Yugayatam Namishena Chakshusha Pravashayatam Shunayatam Jagat Sarvam Govindam Virahename Ashlishava Padamratam Banastumam Adarshanam Marmahatakarotuva Yatatava viradatu lampato mat pranatastusa evanapara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you've invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O Son of Maharajnanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up? And when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I'm feeling one or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna is my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally.
Okay, this is a very special day. It's Ratna Radhika's birthday, and she dressed the deities beautifully today. Actually, wonderful garlands, such devotion, and she grew up here in New Goloka. So her whole life has been here in New Goloka, and she's assisting her amazing husband, Aditya Narayan Prabhu, and so we are so grateful for them. I mean, I can't express my gratefulness enough. And they're, Radharaman's birthday? So Radharaman is 35 years old today. He looks a little older than his actual age, and Radharaman has been